getting close to playoff time for fantasy football, so you need to know who are the running backs that you need to depend on for the rest of the season. So I'm going to bring you my top 10 rest of the season rankings for running backs. And let's start with number one. And I think it goes without saying that Dalvin Cook has taken the top spot. I mean, what can you say? He's averaging 6 yards per carry, a ridiculous 13 touchdowns in 7 games. He's already matched his touchdown total from last year in 14 games. 13 touchdowns, that's right. He's scoring almost every week. And as long as he's healthy, there's absolutely no doubt. It doesn't even matter who the opponent is. You roll him out there, he is your number one running back. Number two, Alvin Kamara. He's done just fine. You know what? His rushing yards maybe aren't that impressive. It doesn't matter. He's actually one of the best receivers in the league as a running back. He's actually got more receiving yards than rushing, got 565 yards as a receiver, along with 60 catches, as opposed to 471 rushing yards. And if you do the math, he's already 1,000-yard total scrimmage yards performer. And his 60 receptions, believe it or not, that's more than all but 2 players, not running backs, players, okay, including wide receivers. So Kamara is an every week absolute must start. Doesn't matter the matchup. Now, number 3, Derrick Henry, guy who's definitely not going to contribute as much as a receiver. It does not matter. He finds the end zone easily. He's already got 8 touchdowns. He's almost to 1,000 yards, and he's the only running back so far with 200 rush attempts. He is the true definition of what is a dying breed, unfortunately, and that is the bell cow running back. There's not many other running backs that you know will get the rock like he does on a pretty good offense. You can feel pretty good about Henry, and you never know when he can rip off those monster games. Number 4, I'm going to go with Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones, you know what? He's been banged up, missed a couple of weeks. And though he's had a couple of big games, he's also disappointed a couple of times. But here's the thing. Number 1, we know he's on a great offense, right? Number 2, we know that he is very efficient when he gets the ball, and he's also productive as a receiver. But here's the main reason I'm interested in Jones as number 4. In the playoffs, the fantasy playoffs, which is what we're all gearing for, he's going to get, in order, the Detroit Lions, Carolina Panthers, and the Tennessee Titans. All of those defenses are bottom 6 against running backs in terms of fantasy points per game allowed. That means something. All right, so Aaron Jones is definitely a strong play down the stretch. Number 5, it's tough to figure out exactly where to put Christian McCaffrey, but that's where we're going to put him, number 5, because here's the thing. Going to miss week 10. Not sure about week 11. It's too early to say. And then as far as what happens after that, who knows? This shoulder injury now is a new thing. It was the foot. Now it's a shoulder. And at first we thought he was going to miss several weeks. And now it's possible to one who knows. But I don't care. Again, we're talking playoffs here. So 14, 15, 16, as long as McCaffrey is back on the field for those games, you have the best running back in the game, arguably. We saw what he did in that 1 week when he did come back against the Chiefs. You cannot put him any lower because as long as he's healthy, if you can make it the next couple of weeks, hopefully you got your Mike Davis or somebody else to plug in there. You've got to keep him as a top 5 at the very least, running back. Number 6 can go the guy also just coming back from injury. That's Nick Chubb. Now, he's missed a lot of time, but he should be good to go from here on out. Knock on wood. 83 rushing yards per game before his injury. And you know what? That number actually could go up because without Odell Beckham on the field for Cleveland and Baker Mayfield been in and out of the lineup, they're going to rely on the running game. The Cleveland Browns are actually a playoff contender, believe it or not. So they're going to want to keep the game in their favor in terms of game script. They're going to be a running team more than ever. So Chubb should get a heavy workload. You got to love his potential. Number 7, a surprise here, and that's James Robinson. So number 7, because, well, he's actually 6th among running backs in attempts and total yards this season. He's getting more involved as a receiver as well. And you know what? Probably the best thing he has going for him, he's been healthy all year as the only running back in Jacksonville. I'm sure they're happy about that, but he hasn't been banged up, missed any time. But of course, I have to have him a little bit lower than the other guys I mentioned. But I mean, you can't be disappointed with what Robinson was doing. Basically was free off the waiver wire after week 1. Number 8 is going to be Josh Jacobs. He is one of the other guys who could be considered a workhorse back. He is only behind Todd Gurley and Derrick Henry as far as red zone rush attempts. So that's something important. I know he's not one of the leaders in touchdowns. I feel like he should have more, and he actually is underperforming his expected touchdown total. I think that number will come around a little bit. The Raiders are playing better and better. And he is also one of the leaders in rushing attempts. So it's just nice to have a locked in RB1 who's also a locked in RB fantasy one. RB1. Miles Sanders is my number 9 pick, a guy who we haven't seen a lot of lately, but we know what he can do. He doesn't need volume. He's also one of the leaders in yards per carry, 6.1 yards every time he touches the ball. Of course, what that means a lot of times is he'll get 1 yard, he'll get 2 yards, and then he'll rip off a 50-yard run. And that's perfectly fine because in the end for fantasy, that's all that matters is the total. Okay, so he's a threat every time he gets the ball. They're going to rely on him because, like it or not, Philadelphia is still in the playoff hunt. So you've got to like Sanders' chances. I have him number 9. And you know what? Number 10, this was a really tough one. It's going to be maybe a little controversial. I mentioned Todd Gurley. He could definitely get consideration for the spot. If Chris Carson was healthy, you know what? I might put him here, but I'm actually going to go with Zeke. That's right. Ezekiel Elliott. It's easy to forget about him. He was a lot of people, the RB2 or 3 heading into the season. Some people are having a tough time just putting him in lineups these days. And I get it. That Dallas offense, of course, is just not the same. Looked a little bit better this past game before their bye, but still Zeke just hasn't had a 100-yard game all season. Not, obviously the touchdown opportunities there just doesn't look the same. But I know he's going to get the volume. I feel like this Cowboy offense, whether it's Garrett Gilbert, Andy Dalton, or whoever, I feel like it's going to get a little bit better. And I still feel like the opportunity is there. I'm going to go with him just because I know he's going to get the work. We know he's a quality back. If he's healthy, I just feel like the potential is there. I can't keep him out of my lineup. So I'm going with him, number 10. If you have somebody else I didn't mention you feel belongs in there, you got some beef with some of the names I put out there in the top 10, let us know here. Hit us up with a comment. And of course, guys, hit that subscribe button. Let us know how we're doing. We appreciate all the follows, all the love that we've been getting. Stay tuned for more content each and every week. All right. Thanks for watching.